Can you tell us just a brief history of, well, it's not brief, but a history of when you started World Care and kind of how-
Accelerated to
Yes.
today. I started World Care in 1994 in my garage. And I started it from a dream. It was an actual physical dream that I had. To kind of set the stage, I actually was in medicine at the time. I was in Washington, D.C. So the dream came about where I had this visualization of being in the desert, being in shorts, t-shirt, with a clipboard in my hand, and there were pallets all around me. And there was a plane behind me, and on that plane said World Care.
That's the
So-
cover of your book.
That's the cover of my book, yes. Yeah, so when of course, I wrote the book much later, but started off with collecting school supplies in my garage, and in 1998, went through the process of getting my nonprofit status for the government, for the EIN number that you needed to become a nonprofit. And the interesting part of that is that they denied me because they said my vision was too big. And I said, well, then tell me where I need to fit in your box. And it was recycling. So that's how World Care got its EIN number. But because they couldn't understand the vision of the organization, its ability to provide so much with, to so many people, they said it's too big. So they denied me. And I finally got it in 1998. And at that time we were collecting school supplies. I had taken a trip to Guatemala in 1995. I was doing a medical evaluation down there, and there was a village of kids, and what they were looking for is that they were looking for, we were putting in an actual clinic, but then they were putting in for a school. And they said one of the biggest problems they have is the fact that nobody can read. So the problem is that if they can't read, how are they going to manage their medicine? And even though I was in medicine at the time, I felt that education was the most important thing that we needed to lay down first for the programs, because everything else would follow after that. As we began to grow a little bit, there was no money at World Care. I didn't really want it to be about money because it was all about the will and the passions of people to help each other, recognizing that somebody that didn't have money could be a part of humanity and helping others. And that's the reason why I actually didn't push that, which is one of our Achilles heels. Because it's not about money. It should never be about money. It should be about our ability to, resource the things that we can provide to help others. Money is important, but money needs to be managed. It should never be upside down. You should never spend $50 to save a nickel. It's one of my philosophies. It doesn't seem right. And your desires and passions should never be where the administration makes more than the mission of the organization. So that's another part of my issue.
So how did you get from garage to 40,000 square foot
Well, it was
school?
magic. We just went like that, and it just all appeared. No work was involved. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually guided a little bit by my dreams, and whether I like it or not, that seems to be what has happened over the years. Hard work, determination, tenacity, persistence, and your willingness to accept failure and recognize what it is and know that it's okay to understand it, and to be there and to rise from that, and to know that you have to look at yourself a lot. That when you put out a lot of energy in something and then you turn that faucet on and only a drip comes back, you have to you have to think, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to do something different. I think that the persistence has been one of my best attributes to continue to push this. Because I could do something else. I mean, I could have stayed in medicine, made a lot of money. I could pretty much do, I think people have the choice to do whatever they want and to succeed in those goals. But this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my job. And the people that participate in World Care, it's a part of their journey too. Everybody who participates at every stage. I think just when you think that you need to quit is when something happens. So I think it's like a trick that the universe pulls, that they say, just hold on to the very end. Okay, give her a little water. And then, and then that keeps you going. Or that child that comes up to you and hugs your leg and says thank you for the school supplies. And you see people that are around you that don't have what they need, and then you give that to them. And it's much easier for me to do that than it is for them to acquire it. So we move with the flow of the community.
What's your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is pretty much everything, the people. I have the opportunity to meet and be with so many different people and see their journey and their evolution through what they're working through, and to be a part of that journey with them. I set up World Care. A lot of organizations set up where you have to be there at a specific time in a specific place, and you only get a specific job and all that. World Care is open from 9 to 3 or 9 to 6, depending on what day it is, for people to come in and do what they would like to do. I have doctors that come in and tinker with computers. They don't want to do doctor work.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to tinker with their computers because it's something that they want to do. I don't try to discourage or put them in places that they don't want to be. World Care is a family. And they come and they go, and they range anywhere from 8 years old to 95.
What's your style of leadership? Just even with the people here, or by going through here, I see that you have a very organized style.
I'm a Virgo. I was fortunately born under the organizational sign, and I'm very. I think I use both sides of my brain. What I've learned in leadership in the past, I've always been put in leadership positions. Even as a kid, I was in sports. I think that's a great avenue to have kids learn about discipline and leadership. I was raised under my mother, which made the military really easy for me because she was very much a disciplinarian. And I give her that credit, giving us those boundaries and being raised with philosophies and not this, we knew right from wrong. And she always taught us to own it. If you do it, you own it. And you own the responsibility of your actions. They're nobody else's. So we didn't have the privilege of blaming other people. So, and that was really a part of when I was starting World Care, is I wanted to do it with my own money. I didn't want to do it with anybody else's. I wanted to show people that if this is the right thing that I'm supposed to do, and this is the right thing for the community, that whatever its successes or failures would be, that I would own that. And so that was from my mother. Knowing the value of a dollar. Appreciating everything that we had, because we didn't have much when we were growing up. So, that's where I come from. South Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
White Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember that. And a Bears fan.
So how did you get from Chicago to Tucson?
The military. I actually was in Alabama, Texas, New Jersey. I settled in Washington, D.C. for about 14 years. being a part of, after I had left the military in 1984, and continued my career in radiology, where I thought that that was everything I was going to do. I loved it. I loved the medical side of it. I recognized that radiology was, it really fed my artistic side, and it also fed my knowledge side, and I just, in happenstance, ended up having a physics degree on top of it. It wasn't because someone said, hey, do you want to go into physics? You know, because everyone would go, no. No, I don't. But it was because when I was in college, it was such a heavy course that I had to take at George Washington University that, that it just became a part of my being. But my mind works that way. I love knowledge. I love learning about things that are even the slight level of probability. Just right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need is one. That's all I needed here was just one of everything. Just give me one building, one chair, one table, one desk, one. That's all I need is one. $1 million donor. Give me $1 million donor. Still waiting for that. But I know it's out there. Somebody will recognize it and value it. And so when I look at all the things that have happened throughout the course of my life, it's been an education and a learning experience, not only for myself, but I think for the people that are around me as well. So when you go back to the leadership, if you don't help and give it to other people, what you've learned, whether it's your failures or your successes, if you don't give it away, it means nothing. You have to share those things. That's evolution. That's the ability to grow and be, you know, for that next generation. However this organization evolves, it'll evolve hopefully from the passions and the philosophies that I've instilled in it from day one. Even if it doesn't exist anymore. Even if WorldCare took such a different direction that, you know, nobody valued it anymore. It had its time. And that's okay too. Everything has its time.
I can't imagine WorldCare not having a value anymore, ever. This place is amazing. But I'm wondering, I read through, like I said, I read a little bit of your book.
Mm-hmm.
And in your book, you talked about the dreams that you had or have, and
Yes.
they seem to be like profound, strong dreams.
They are.
But sometimes they kind of have a dark side to them. I'm wondering
Yes.
how, you know, as you described your dream of WorldCare with the pallets and a plane and a desert and a clipboard, how you got that. I mean, to me, if I saw that image in my dream, I would be, well, first I'd be confused. But to me, that seems like a daunting dream. How did you come up with, from that, for that to mean that you need to take care of the world?
Well, it doesn't come in an instruction booklet, that's for sure. It doesn't, you don't have the opportunity to say, oh, and here's the book. Oh, I see. I have to start this now, and you know, honestly, we don't know a whole lot about our universe and how it works. We do know that things happen. A lot of things were closing around me. There were a lot of things that were happening where really that was the direction. When I first came out here, I took a job out here. I didn't know I was going to be in the desert. That wasn't until 8 months later.
Mm-hmm.
They were selling the hospital, and they were going to eliminate my position. And so and they told me I could travel anywhere I needed to go. They would pay for it in order for me to find a job, and which was very nice of them. But I chose two places. I chose, there was an article or a request in the newspaper, one of the radiology tabloids, that said that there was a position open for an associate director here at the University Medical Center. And so I put in my application. Well, it took several months before before they actually called me I was to come out. And I had made a decision at that point that, I tried to stay in Washington. I put money down on a house, but everything kept falling through. Everything kept falling through. I had graduated at that point, that year. So things were closing, and so I ended up actually starting the process. I said, well, I'll just put it out there and see what happens. And I did, and they called me and they said, we'd like to interview you. So they did, and they hired me. I interviewed on my birthday, August 29th, and they hired me 2 days later. And that got me out here. I was here in 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, but it's funny how the universe works. For my dreams are very. I had a difficult time with my dreams. I had been recording my dreams since I was young. 1979 was my first major dream that I had that I recorded in a book. And the only reason I did that was because I kept having it. And so once I put it down on paper, I wouldn't have it again.
Mm-hmm.
So this process kept going on. I really never thought about them as having any sort of meaning until I started to have some very significant dreams, which, again, some of them were not very good dreams. They were disaster dreams, or there was tornadoes, and then I had this one dream that was really, really strong, and it was in 1998. I had it on July 27th, 1998, and it was buildings coming down. There were so many symbols in this dream. I can see the dream even today. I was so scared with this dream. I woke up, I was shaking, I was sweating, and I knew it didn't have anything to do with me personally. I think I learned enough at that point to recognize a personal dream, going through personal conflict, that there were some symbols in this that were important, should have been important to somebody. So I gave it to someone that I thought could do something. And when I gave that dream there, nothing happened until September 2001, when there was probably about 15 symbols in that dream that, when understood, pointed to that. And it wasn't, and again, I'm a science person. I don't like the word psychic. I don't like that type of thing. I just think some people are more sensitive than others.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you have an artist, that person has a skill, and somebody else doesn't, but that other person might have mathematical skills that, I think dreams are the same way, or that subconsciousness is the same way. It's very difficult to explain that to some people because of their belief systems, but it is for me. That's what it does for me, and I've had over 120 dreams, and 90% of them have come true. So I guess there's something to them. I don't dwell on them, but, and I don't try to fit a circle in a hole, a circle in a square.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I'm more of a skeptic than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I try to just, make it not real first.
Describe a woman who inspires you and why.
There's a lady named Seal Peterson here in town. I don't know if you know of her.
I do.
She died when she was 101. Everyone kept telling me that we needed to get together, she and I. And when I was at my other facility, the Silo, she actually had her place across the street. So we finally got together and we had a chat. We both went to the same school, George Washington University.
Wow.
But she is an amazing woman. She taught me a lot about this community, how it worked, what people needed to be involved. It was kind of like the matriarch, where you had to get the blessing of the matriarchs in order to move forward in the community. But she had started so many things, and she was so willing to let go of a lot of those things. And I really admired that about her. That, sometimes you start things and then they take on a life of their own. And then, you know, but she always kept that, that enthusiasm about life. When she was 95 years old, we had a talk. And she had said to me, she says, I just hope I can do everything. I hope I have enough life in me to do all the things that I want to do. And I said, I really doubt that. I said, because yours probably goes well beyond 200 years.
Uh-huh.
Because she always was inventive, she always was creative and very enthusiastic and did what she could at the level that she could at that time. And so, fortunately, you know, we became very good friends. And we would talk like we were old schoolgirls and laugh, and I would just absorb it, just absorb everything that we had. And then, you know, then she went to the big house upstairs. So.
Do you have a specific quote or mantra that you live by?
I have a lot of them. Be honest. Never sway from who you are. Because
do you
if
know?
you do...
How do you know who you are?
Well, most people spend a lot of time in their life creating something who they aren't, which makes it easy when somebody doesn't like that part, then they could say, well, that's not really me.
Mm-hmm.
People really don't know me.
Kind of like a shield, you mean?
Sure. I think it's nature. You know, I think it's natural for a lot of people. Risking to be who you are is okay. Rejection is something that a lot of people fear. And so if you have to really be honest with yourself and look at yourself and like yourself. And if other people don't like you, there's 6.5 billion people in this world, find somebody else to be around. Somebody will like you.
What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, let's see. I golf. I love to golf. I actually gave up golf for World Care because it was very expensive. But I got it back. You know, I found a way to put that back in my life a couple of years ago. I love to cook. I love to read. I love to write. I like to create. I like to paint. I like to hike. I like to travel. I used to like to skydive and scuba dive, but I can't do those things anymore because of medical conditions.
What you wrote about in your book?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in '05, 4 days before Katrina hit, I had a brain aneurysm. 2, actually. So they kind of stopped me for a little bit. And I was very fortunate to live through it and get back to doing what I love to do. And, you know, life kind of, I guess he spared me for another couple of years.
Did another 100 maybe?
100?
Yeah.
100 years?
So you can finish doing all the things you want to do.
You know, I think I'll just join SEAL. And we'll have another journey.
What inspired you, or why did you write the book you wrote?
I wrote it because a lot of people would ask me, why don't you write a book? And I told them I really am not a writer because I'm a numbers girl. I really didn't want to write a book at that point, but it just seemed like the natural thing to do after I had my brain aneurysms. I jokingly basically said that I better write this stuff down before I have another one so I can at least read something. Like, wow, that was really interesting. You know, while I'm playing with my crayons or whatever. I think that it was an important thing. There would be people that would come into my office and say, do you have 5 minutes? Can you tell me how to start a nonprofit? And then I just hand them the book. It's just so much easier
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, then and actually a doctor had said that to me. And I said, do you have 5 minutes? Can you please tell me how to become a doctor
Right.
and do surgery on your brain?
What would you like to be remembered for?
Well, I'd love to say if it was all about me, that'd be great, but it's not. I think the biggest gift that can be given to me is if World Care continues to go on and people don't know, and they know World Care and they know what it represents. It's not about me. That's what I would like. I don't want to be, you know, if people don't remember me for lots of different little things, you know, being a not so good putter, but being a great driver, you know, doing my mummy work when I was in medicine. I think I'd like to be remembered as being a bridge builder for women around the world. That would be my dream. That's what I want to be known for.
It's an amazing dream. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the tour.
You're welcome.
I've learned so much more about, I've known about World Care for a long, long time, but I've learned a lot more today.
Thanks.
And I think you've just cultivated a new advocate.
Thank you.